Okay guys, so in our last video, I introduced what to do in trigonometry when you do not have a right angle triangle. So the first rule we talked about was sine law. So remember, sine law is used when you have a full match and then you have half of a match. So you have a matching side with its matching angle, and then you have half of the other. So you either have the side but no angle, or you have the angle but no side. So what we're going to talk about today is cosine law. So again, cosine law, when do we use it? Well, again, we use it when we do not have a right angle triangle. Okay, so no right angle triangles. And cosine law is if we do not have a matching pair. So what that means then is our picture will look something like this. So let's say we have this number and but we don't have this one. Okay, or we have this one, but we don't have this one. Or maybe we don't have this one, but we have that one. Okay, so again, half match. So we have the angle but not the side. We have the side but not the angle. We have the angle but not the side. So those are half matches. The other thing that you could have is, again, we could have the angle but not the side. We could have this angle but not the side. We could also, let me see here. Hold on, no, I did this wrong. We have this side, but we're looking for this angle. And then we know this side, sorry, oh man, I keep putting the things in the wrong place. We have this side, but not this angle. We have this side, but not this angle. So one of those two. So again, they're all half matches, okay? So sine law, there was one formula that we used, and we just plugged in the 3 for the 4 parts and did cross multiply divide. Cosine law, there are 2 formulas. Okay, now again, you're given all the formulas, you just have to know which one to use when. So if you're looking for a side length, okay, so if you're looking for a side length, it's c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times cos c. It looks kind of like Pythagoras, right? This part right here looks like Pythagoras, but then there's this extra stuff punked onto the end. So if I just use the same letters, so remember, lowercase are for sides, uppercase are for angles. So if I label this one C, this one A, this one B, so you'll notice the A and the B numbers get plugged in twice. And then the really important part of this is your pair. So side C and corner C. Okay, so you will know this one, you will know this one, you will know this one, and this is the one you're looking for. Okay, so again, you've got only half matches. Okay, so you've got the corner but not the side, you've got the side but not the corner, you've got the side but not the corner. Okay, now this is also going to be 2 steps, and the reason I know that is because this will find you c squared. So how do we get rid of a square root, a square? We square root. So in your last step, remember, you're going to take the square root. Okay? So 2 steps. Now, what if we're looking for an angle? So if we're looking for an angle, all we do is we take that above formula and we rearrange it so that the angle here is by itself. So I've already rearranged everything for you. Okay? So let's say we are looking for, let's say this is corner C right here. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so side C is directly across from it. So it's very important that these 2 numbers here, that is your pair. Okay, now if you don't put the right side length into the correct spot, it will screw it up. Okay, and then these 2 right here, those are the other side lengths. Okay, and then notice those side lengths get repeated in the numerator and the denominator. Now, when you're plugging this thing in on your calculator, remember the very first thing in 10C I told you was that when you're dividing 2 things, so something by something, if you've got more than one number in the top, which is what you will have here, or more than one number in the bottom, which you also will have here, you have to remember to put everything in brackets. Now, lastly, you're looking for an angle. So in trig, when you're looking for an angle, last step is you have to go second cos ANS. Okay, you have to do that step. And again, it's second cos because we write the word cos because it's called the cosine law formula. Okay, so I know these formulas seem insane, but as we get using them, you'll realize it's just a drag and drop of numbers. This is why I do give you the formulas though, so that you're not having to worry about memorizing the formulas, you just have to think about where the numbers go. Okay, so let's just give this a go here. So it says determine the length of CB. So we're looking for the length of this side right here. Okay, so I'm going to label it lowercase a. So first off, do we have any matching pairs? So if I look here, so I've got the side but no angle, so that's not a full match. I've got the side but no angle, again, not a full match. I've got the angle but no side, so again, no full matches. Okay, so again, no matching pairs. So we're going to use the formula. So I'm just going to write out the formula. I'm looking for a side length. So we're going to go, I'm just going to write out the formula. Now again, don't focus on the letters. This A is not this A. Okay, we're looking for A squared. So A squared is what I put here. That's what I'm looking for. Now, this one, this one, this one, and this one, those are your other two sides. So I've got 32 and 40. So I'm going to go 32 squared plus 40 squared minus 2 times 32 times 40 times cos. Now, this and this, that is your pair. So what pairs with A? 58. Okay? So don't get hung up on the A, B, C letters. Focus on what numbers go where. Okay, so the one that you're looking for is the one that you put on the left-hand side. So that's your letter. And then everything else is going to be numbers. So now using my calculator. So again, just as a reminder, make sure that calculator is in degree mode. Okay. So we're going to go 32 squared plus 40 squared minus 2 times 32 times 40 times. Now, just hit the cos key. Again, you don't have to hit second because we're not looking for an angle, we're looking for a side. And then plug in 48, finish off the bracket. Now that is A squared. Okay, so we get A squared equals 1267 because remember the formula is A squared. So how do you get rid of a squared? We square root. So we're going to go square root that answer, hit enter, and I get out 35.6. So to the nearest meter, so 35.6, so it's 36 meters. Okay? So drag and drop. Okay, so it says use cosine law to solve for f. So I will tell you, I won't tell you what law to use. You do have to know that. So the question will say solve for f. So just do a quick check here. Just going to use my erasable ink. So we've got the side length, but not the angle. We've got the side length, but not the angle. We've got the angle, but not the side. So no matching pairs. Okay. Now again, I'm looking for a side length. So I'm going to use the side length formula. Now, do you need to write out the formula every time? No. You're going to have it written beside you on a sheet of paper. Since I don't have that, I'm just going to rewrite it on every slide. So again, start off with, these are your two sides that you know. So I'm going to put F here because that's what I'm looking for. So what two sides do I have? 25 and 30. So 25 squared plus 30 squared minus 2ab means 2 times 25 times 30 times cos. Now again, this is the matching pair. So what pairs with F? 40 degrees. Okay? So we've got 25 squared plus 30 squared minus 2 times 25 times 30 times, again, just hit the cos key, and the angle was 40 degrees. Now again, that represents f squared. So how do I find f? I square root that answer. And I get out 19.38. 19, so it doesn't say what to round to, so I'll just make it 19.4 and meters. Okay? Okay, so let's take a look at this one. So the diagram at the right shows the plans for a roof with a support beam DE parallel to AB. So that's what these two little arrows mean. They mean that these two lines are parallel. The local building code requires that the angle formed at the peak to fall between 70 and 80 degrees. So that's this angle right here. So that angle right there has to be between 70 and 80. So that snow and ice do not build up. So in other words, it's creating a proper pitch. Okay? Will this plan pass local building code? So we're looking for this angle right here. So again, the first thing you want to do is just check for matching pairs. Because if you have a matching pair, you should be using sine law. Okay? So you don't have the angle, but you do have the side. So that's not a full match. You have the side but no angle. Again, half a match. You have the side but no angle. Again, half a match. So again, no matching pairs. No full sets. Okay, so we're looking for the angle this time. Whoops. Oh, I gotta move that back. So this time we're looking for an angle. So I'm going to use the angle formula for cosine. So I'm just going to write it out here. Again, you're going to have it on a page. Okay, so I'm just going to write cos, what was the angle there? It was letter B, so I'm going to go cos B. Okay, now when you're looking for the angle, what I recommend you do is you start here with your pair. So do that first. So what pairs with B? 20 feet. So I'm going to go 20 squared. Okay, so start off with that. So start with your pair. Now, everything else is just the other two sides. So I'm going to go 10 squared plus, now, 19 feet, 6 inches. That's what that means. So you should know that there's 12 inches in a foot. So this means 19.5 feet. So 6 inches is half a foot. So that's how I write this. So 19.5 squared, 2 times 10 times 19.5. So remember, the two sides get filled in twice, but the matching pair only gets filled in once. Okay, this one is a plus, this one is a subtract. So on my calculator, you have to remember to put this whole thing in brackets and then go divide by and then put this whole thing in brackets. Okay? So let's see how this looks here. Oops. So I'm going to go bracket 10 squared plus 19.5 squared minus 20 squared. Whoops. And then go divided by and then bracket 2 times 10 times 19.5. Finish off that bracket. Okay, now the angle is obviously not 0.20. So step 1 is to enter this into the calculator. Then what you have to do is a second step. Remember, you're looking for the angle. So when you're looking for the angle, you have to go second cos of that answer. And it's cos because this is cosine law. So second cos of that answer. So angle B there is 78 degrees. So if we go back to the question, remember it says it has to be between 70 and 80 to pass code. So it passes code. Okay? Now, if you don't want to use the brackets, what you can do is you can punch this in without brackets. So if you did that, Okay, and then you would just hit the divide key, so it takes that answer from the previous line. Now here you would have to use brackets. You can't really get around that. Now you'll know if you did it right if you always end up with a 0 point number. Now it could be a positive or a negative number, it doesn't matter, but as long as it's 0 point something, then you know you've done cosine law correctly. Okay? Okay, a three-pointed star is made up of an equilateral triangle and three congruent isosceles triangles. Okay, so this triangle right here, that's an equilateral triangle, meaning all three sides are the same length. Okay, and then this triangle on the side is an isosceles triangle. It's isosceles because those two are the same length, and then this one is a different length. Okay, so it says determine the length of each side of the equilateral triangle in this three-pointed star, round the length to the nearest centimeter. So these three-pointed stars are on the design of the largest Ukrainian egg. It's located in Vegreville, Alberta. Okay, it's created with 2,208 equilateral triangles. It's pretty cool. Okay, so there's actually two different ways of doing this question. One way uses cosine law, and the other way uses sine law. So I'm going to actually do it both ways just to show you that in trig, depending on the process that you take, there's usually more than one way to solve questions. Okay, so if I use cosine law, this is what I'm looking for right here. So I'm just going to call it x. So again, just to show you, okay, so we've got the angle but no side. Hold on a second here. Oh. So we've got the angle but no side. We've got the side but no angle. We've got the side but no angle. So we've got no matching pairs. So since we've got no matching pairs, I'm going to use the cosine law. I'm looking for that side length. So I'm going to use the side length formula. So again, you don't have to write out the formula. For me, it's just a habit that I've always had. So I called it x. So remember, your two sides go here. So we've got 60 squared plus 60 squared minus 2 times 60 times cos. And then again, remember, this is the pair. That's the match. So what was the angle that matched the side that I'm looking for? 20 degrees. Okay, so on my calculator, I'm just going to plug that in. So I'm going to go 60 squared plus 60 squared minus 2 times 60 times cos, and again, don't hit second, 20. Now again, this equals x squared. So my last step is to square root that answer. So 20.83 or 20.84. So what is the side length of each, what units was it here, centimeters? So each side length of that triangle is 20.8 by 20.8 by 20.8. Nearest centimeter, so sorry, I should round that to 21. Okay, so that is using cosine law. Now, if you wanted to do this question using sine law, here's how you would go about doing that. So I'm just going to erase kind of what's a little messy here, but this takes a little bit of understanding of isosceles triangles. So isosceles triangles have two sides the same length. They also have two angles the same measure. So the idea being is that if this side and this side have the same angle measure, then this one and this one will also have the same angle measure. So you know that the corners of a triangle add up to 180. I've already got 20 degrees spoken for, so I'm down to 160. But that has to be split between these two corners. So that means each one of those corners measures 80 degrees. So what I now have then, and I'm looking for this. So I have a full match here, and I have a half a match here. So my full match is 60, remember side length over angle, side length over angle. So what I would do with this is I'm going to cross multiply and divide. So again, you multiply that doesn't have the x, so that's the one that doesn't have the x. Okay, so it's sine 60 times sine 20. So on my calculator, 60 times sine 20. Again, don't hit second. Finish off that bracket. So cross multiply, and then divide by the one left over. So sine 80. So my side length is 20.8, which I would then round to 21. So again, it doesn't matter in this question which way you want to do it. They both work. And it's pure personal preference. I'm not going to ask you to do questions in a certain way. That's going to be your choice. Okay? Okay, so let's take a look at this guy. So it says find the measure of angle B. So again, just do a real quick check for me. So make sure you have no matching pairs. So you've got the angle, but not the side. You've got the side, but not the angle. You've got the side, but not the angle. Okay? Now, you're looking for angle B. So I'm looking for this corner. So because I'm looking for that corner, I'm just going to write out my formula. Okay, so I'm going to write cos of angle B. So now again, here, this is the pair. So start with that. You always start with the ends and then work your way in. So what is the matching pair to corner B? Corner B matches the 40. So the 40 has to go there. Now, in the middle here are the other two sides. So I've got 45. So what problem do you see? We don't know the other side. So I'm going to have to take a step back, and I'm actually going to have to find this side first. So off to the side, I have to find the side length first. So I actually have to start with this formula. So sometimes in trig, you create a plan, and then you have to often add to that plan so that you have all the numbers in there. So again, I called it x. So again, this is your match. So what matches x? 98 degrees. So it's going to be cos 98 degrees. And then here are the two sides. So we've got 45 squared plus 40 squared minus 2 times 45 times 40. So on my calculator, so 45 squared plus 40 squared minus 2 times 45 times 40 times cos, because it's the cosine rule I'm using, 98. Now again, this is x squared, so I'm going to square root that, and I get 64.23. So now I can put that number in here. So now on my calculator, so I'm going to go put brackets around that, put brackets around that, and if I do it correctly, I should end up with a 0 point something. Okay, so I've got, whoops, I already messed up. So I've got 45 squared plus, now if you don't want to plug in 64.23, you can go a and s squared, because that answer is the one I would be using anyway. So if you want to do that, you can, just to save yourself a little bit of time. But if you plugged in the 64.23, oh, I forgot that first bracket, then you're more than welcome to do that. So I'm just going to insert a bracket. Then I just got to go to the end. And then go divide by 2 times 45 times, again, that answer. And again, if you want to plug in 64.23, you can. Hit enter. Now again, did I end up with a 0 point number? Yes. So now remember, I'm looking for the angle. So it's cosine law. So I go second cos of that answer. Now again, it's going to pull the answer, the 0.787, not the 64.23. Okay, so the angle is 38 degrees. Now, one thing to note if you are going to just plunge the number in, make sure you keep a couple extra decimals. If you take that 64.23 and round it all the way to 64, it will throw off that angle measure to make it either 37 or 39. While that might not seem like a big deal to you in grade 11, in grade 12, when you start doing the diploma and you're filling in bubbles for the numeric response, and you color in 37 on the bubble sheet instead of 38, you're going to get 0 on that question. You get 0 credit for your work because you colored in the wrong bubbles. Okay, last question. So again, solve. We talked about this the other video. We talked about it in grade 10. It means find everything. So you will always be given 3 pieces of information, which means you'll always have to find 3 things. Okay, so I'm just going to do some labels here. So I'm going to call this one side x. I'm going to call this one theta. And I'm going to call this one alpha. Okay. Now, always start off with asking yourself, do you have matching pairs? So, I've got half a match, I've got half a match, I've got half a match. So since I have no matching pairs, I have to start with cosine law. I have to. Okay. So I'm just going to start out by finding this guy. Okay, I'll start with that. So I'm going to go x squared equals, so c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times cos, and then again, remember, this is the pair. So what pairs up with x? 50 degrees. So again, when I plug this out on my calculator, you have to remember to square root for that second step. So 8 and 10. So I've got 8 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 8 times 10 times cos, and then 50 degrees. Okay, so again, that's going to give me x squared. So I have to square root that answer, and you get out 7.8. Okay. Now at this point, you can choose a couple different approaches. You can stay with cosine law, and let's say find theta next. So if you want to find theta next, you would go cos theta equals, now again, put the matching pair on the end. So what matches theta? 10. And then the other 2 sides would go in the middle. And then 7.8. Okay? So that's option 1. The other option is to switch over to sine law. And the reason why you could switch over to sine law is that now you have a full pair. So you could go full and then half. So if I go 10 over sine theta. So again, what I would do here is I would cross multiply and then divide by the 7.8. So it doesn't matter how you do it. I'll do it both ways so you can see on the calculator. So 8 squared plus 7.8 squared. So bracket 8 squared plus 7.8 squared minus 10 squared. Divide by 2 times 8 times 7.8. Whoops. Oh, no, I need that bracket there because I'm dividing by more than one number. So I've got to go back and just go insert. I always forget the brackets on cosine law. I don't know why. Okay. And then I'm going to go second cos. Okay, second cos because I use the cosine rule of that answer. So I end up with 78.5 degrees. Now, if I wanted to do sine law instead, so again, I'm going to go sine 50 times 10. So I'm going to go sine 50, finish off that bracket, times 10. So there's the cross multiply. Divide by the 7.8. Now in this one, again, I'm looking for theta. So I'm going to go second sine because I'm using the sine rule of that answer. Now notice this one gives me 79.1. Now the reason why it's different, now they would both round to 79 degrees. The reason why it's different is of this. This didn't exactly equal 7.8. Remember, that was the answer from this line. So I rounded it. So because you're using a rounded answer, it's going to throw off the next answer. If we round to the nearest whole number, we'd both end up at 79. And then for the last step, it's a simple corners add up to 180, and you would just plug it in on your calculator. Okay, so 180 minus 50 minus 79. So that last corner measures 51. So I just wanted to show you that if you do it a different way, you may end up with a slight different answer just because of the rounded answers that you're using. Now, if you rounded 7.8 to 8, it would throw off the answers even more, like by 2 or 3 degrees difference. So it is extremely important that you're showing me your setups, right? Remember, I want to see the setup. I want to see the setup. So I can see exactly what numbers you're using, because that will then tell me that, oh, that's how they got that number slightly different than mine. So you must show your setups. If you just put answers down on a page, even if the answers are correct, you only get a, like 1 mark out of 4. Okay? You have to show the setups. All right. Make sure you try these questions because, again, you've never done sine law and cosine law before. This is all brand new information. If you get stuck, you know where to find me to ask questions. We'll see you in the next one.